So we're on day 3 of estimation. We're going to be using prints 2 and 3, and we'll be working on activity 3, wall framing. So we're going to determine how much lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, and etc. that's needed for this home. So starting off with this, it says using the floor plan, find the total length of the walls. So we got the floor plan here. You remember this from Blueprint Reading Skills. We're going to find the total length of the walls. So in estimation, just like in your other math classes, when you estimate things, sometimes you have to round. We're going to try to round for a little excess because some of the excess is used in other parts of the house. So to do that, to make it easier for you to see, I'm going to just color some of the stuff in that you're going to be measuring. You don't need to use a marker for this, but I'm just doing it so you can visually see what we need. So we're just going to measure all of the walls within this side of the house. So I'm just first going to highlight all of these walls that we're going to measure. Now, even though there's an opening here, we're going to go all the way across that opening, and we're going to go across this doorway here, all the way across this area, this doorway, and even from here to there. So again, this is a top-down bird's eye view of the floor plan. And what I've highlighted there is what all the wood structure would be for the framing. So to measure this, what we're going to do is we'll start here at the top. Remember these hash marks right here to there? That's telling you the measurement between this side and that side. So it says 12 foot 3 inches. We're going to go ahead and round that up. Even though it's not 5 or more like you used to round up, we're going to go ahead and go to 13 inches. 13 feet. Then over here on this wall, you've got 30 foot 6 inches. We'll call that 31 inches. Same way over here, we're going to call that 9 feet. So you would go around and add up all of the areas that I've highlighted there, and then you can write that total maybe up here in the margin of your worksheet, because then you're going to do the same for this area. You're going to look at the measurements here. You've got from hash mark to hash mark here, there's your measurement. From the hash mark here to the hash mark here, there's your measurement. So again, you're going to round that number up, and you'll add up all the sides and write that number in the margin over here. Same thing for this area here. This wall and here all the way in back to this wall and down around here. All of this is going to be measured, and you're going to round that up. So once you get your total here for this side, you can add it again over here, and then we can add up those measurements to get your answer. That's going to give you the total linear feet. Linear means distance long ways, okay? So that's going to give you your total linear feet. So for the 2x4 studs that are needed, we're figuring 1 8-foot stud per foot. So the measurement you got right here was in feet, and that's also going to tell you exactly the same number of 2x4 by 8 studs. So I'm going to write 2x4 by 8 right there, because 2x4s come in different sizes. So 2x4 by 8. That's going to tell you the number of those that are needed for that. Okay, so that's all of the vertical 2x4s that are needed. But we need to calculate something else from this framing elevation. what we need to calculate is that there is a bottom plate seal. That means these walls have a 16-foot long 2x4 on the bottom that these vertical studs attach to. Then on the top, there is a double top plate. So for us to determine how many 16-foot 2x4s we need for the plates, the plates at the top and the plate on the bottom, we're going to put some numbers to that. So what you did is you found the total length of all of this, right? We could run 2x16s over all of this because you've already totaled that up, and then you put your answer there on number 2. So now we're going to take the answer from number 2 and we're going to multiply that by 3. Let's see. Actually, we're going to take this number, and once you have it, yeah, that'll be the number that you multiply by 3, because we're looking at, going around this house once on the bottom and twice on the top. So that's why you're going to multiply it by 3. Now, once we have that number, we're going to divide that number by 16, because these aren't in foot segments. These are in 16-foot segments. So once you get your number, when you multiply that by 3, once you get your number, you're going to divide that by 16, and that'll tell you the number of plate stock that we need. Next, number 4, determine the amount of the header material. Well, above a window or above a door, you need header material, and that is 4x6 thicker piece of wood. It needs to be stronger to support that spans there. So for us to determine that, we're going to go back to the architectural ruler. This plan is on a scale of 1/4 of an inch equals a foot. So that's what this is. This has basically 12 increments right there, because it's saying in this small space on that plan, that is a foot. So we could break it down into 6 inches, half a foot, right? We could break it into 9 inches if we needed to. So to give you an example of that, let's say that we're going to draw a line. If I want to draw a line that is three feet, I'm going to start at the 0 point. Then I've got 2, and halfway between 4 and 2 is 3. That would be 3 foot. So I could start at 0 and draw to there. But if I wanted a line that's this length, you can notice that it's longer than 6. I've got it on 0, but it's longer than 6. So I'm going to move that 6 to the end of the line. Now it's going to hang over on this side. So now all I have to do is count the number of little marks I see, which looks like about 3, right? So that would be 6'3". Why we're going to use that is because next we're going to look at the windows. And remember, the windows and the doorways, they have the headers on them. See if I can erase this here so we can just kind of focus in on the windows and doors. So let's start with this living room area. If I'm going to measure this again on 1/4 of an inch scale, this window, I'm going to put the 0 right here, and I'm noticing it's halfway between 2 and 4, it's 3. So there's 3 feet. So we're just going to go to the next one, adding it up. And it looks like that one is 3 feet as well. So on a scratch piece of paper to the side, I can just begin to calculate. This is 3 foot, this is 3 foot, this is 3 foot. I go across the opening for the doorway. That's going to need a header too. So the opening for the doorway, I'm going to put it on 0 here, and it looks like it's a little bit more than 2. So I'm going to put 2 on the edge of that door, and then it's 2'6". So that's how we can determine the header for the doorway. So you would add up all the windows plus the doorway to get the total number you need for the headers in this section. Over here, it's a little more complicated. You got some windows down here. You've got a header across the doorway, header across the doorway here. So you would have to continue to add up the headers needed for this area as well on some scratch paper. And lastly, you would do the same for this section, the windows and the doorway. And the next thing we want to do is when we get the total length of headers, that is on question number 4, then we want to divide that by 8 because those headers come in 8-foot sections. So we're going to divide that number by 8. All right, last part. We're going to look at the wall sheathing. Sheathing is just like plywood, basically. It's what covers over the surface of your walls. And the sheathing is like a weatherproof material, so it's really not needed for the interior walls. It's only needed for these exterior walls, the walls on the outside. So we're just going to go around this shape on the outside, and you will calculate the measurement again for just the outside, the exterior of the walls. You don't have to worry about the interior. And once you get that number, then go ahead and write it over here to the side of your margin. And then if you remember, the length of the walls are 8 foot. So to find the square feet all the way around the house, you're going to take the answer from the distance all the way around the exterior of the house, and you're going to multiply that by 8. And that's going to give you the square feet of all of the plywood that you're going to put on the walls. Now, when you take that number, go ahead and write it over here to the margin of your paper. You might even put a little note. That's the total square foot of the outside of the house. Once you get that number, next we're going to find out how many sheets of plywood need to be covered for that area, right? Well, a sheet of plywood, it's roughly 4 feet by 8 feet. Sorry for the camera shake. I'm just having to work it on my own here. But 4 feet by 8 feet, that gives you 32 square feet. So now you know that you took the total amount, the area of all of the exterior. Now you're going to divide it by 32, and that will give you the number of plywood sheets that you need to write on your paper for number 5, okay? Once you write your paper on number 5, go ahead and put your tag up and ask for an inspection, because we really need to make sure all of 1 through 5 are correct before we move on. So I know that's a lot, but it's very important that you get these right. Thanks.